Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Rob Kearney. I'm here in Bradenton, Florida at the 2019 World's Strongest Man with SBD USA. Lucky enough to have them throw out a little Q&A leading up to the contest and have a few questions here that everybody's asked. So we're just going to kind of go down the list and see what you guys got for me. So the first question is, what made you decide to pursue Strongman? So for me, I was a fairly unathletic kid growing up. I played a couple of sports in high school, but was never really a standout at any of them. Was lucky enough to get noticed in the weight room at my high school by a substitute teacher who was also a CrossFit coach. And he started coaching me. So I would actually go to the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning with him at his CrossFit gym. I found out really quickly I sucked at CrossFit, but I was really good at lifting decently heavy stuff. So, obviously I'd seen Strongman and World's Strongest Man on TV for years, and I had walked into the gym on a Tuesday morning, the senior year of my high school, and the owner said, hey, there's a Strongman contest this weekend, and we signed you up for it. I had never done any of the events. I had never done any of the lifts. Went into the contest, got my ass kicked, but fell in love with the sport, and it just kind of progressed from there. How do you train for a better press? So, historically, I'm known for my split jerk technique on the log press. And when I started working with Derek Poundstone as my coach, one of the things that he noticed really quickly was that my triceps were decently weak compared to my explosiveness off the chest. So one of the first things that he had me do was I actually press 3 times a week in my training right now. So day 1 of my training is going to be an overhead movement, usually a push press, with a bunch of upper body accessories. My favorite accessory that it has me doing now are incline skull crushers. And then, day 2 will be squat and deadlift. Day 3 is usually bench press or a variation of that, again, to help build up the triceps and the chest a little bit. Day 4 of my training is my event day, and I always have an overhead on that day as well. So really just the volume of pressing that I'm doing every week has helped build my press to where it is now. Do you train the split jerk with a barbell? Is it more technique than strength? So no, I don't. I honestly can't remember the last time I split jerked a barbell. And honestly, I might not be even that good at it with the whip of a barbell and the Olympic bars. So most of my split jerking is pretty much just on axles or logs. So, when it comes to like a heavy axle clean and press, I will still split jerk if I'm going for a max. And same with the log. And then the question about it being strength or technique, it's definitely a dance of both. It's, when it comes down to it, to get 471 pounds overhead, you need to be strong regardless. However, it's a big risk and a big reward when it comes to the split jerk. For those of you that do a split jerk or know about the split jerk, if anything is off in the lift, whether it's the dip or, the bar path or the log path is off at all, it makes it a really, really hard lift and it's tough to recover from. But that's something over the years that I've just gotten better at and I've gotten more comfortable with. So I think to answer that question, it's definitely both technique and strength. When did you realize that you had a talent for strength? This is an interesting question. It's, I don't know that I ever realized it until I got to this level. With me growing up in the sport of strongman and just kind of progressing through the ranks really, I started the sport when I was 17. And to be honest, I took last place in the first 8 competitions I entered. So I really wasn't good and I wasn't very strong. But one thing that I started doing was I just started setting small goals that I was pretty sure I could reach. And just kind of built off those, so it was, okay, I took last place in 8 shows. Let's not take last place at my next contest. Okay, I did that. Let's try not to zero an event. Okay, now let's try to get on the podium, and just kind of built off that until it got to the point where I was like, okay, well, let's go for my pro card. All right, I got my pro card. Let's see where I can go from there. And, it really was just these small incremental things that I did throughout my career. Like I said, I don't think I really realized that I had a talent for this and was really good at it until I got to the level of competing internationally. That's when I realized I kind of had that aha moment that I could turn some heads and do some pretty impressive things with the sport at this level. What motivates you to keep competing at this level? I think for me is I haven't reached my ultimate goals yet. And, it goes back to what I was saying before is, even now competing at this level, I still set small goals that I feel that I can reach, and small being a relative term for sure. But I got into the sport, and I compete at this, I compete at the biggest contests in the world, and the past 2 years at World's Strongest Man, I was just excited to be here, and just kind of being competitive in the field. And now it's my main goal is to make the finals and be one of the top 10 strongest men in the world. Once I reach that goal, I'm sure my goals will change yet again. But for right now, that's kind of where my motivation lies. Is I haven't reached my goal. I haven't done what I set out to do, and my motivation won't change until I get to do that. And the final question: what happens for you after World's Strongest Man? So look at this in two different ways. Short term, I have a bunch of other contests that I'm getting ready for. So along with World's Strongest Man, there's some other Arnold qualifiers, there's some other Giants live shows. So competing is going to be my main job, essentially, training and competing, from now on. After Strongman in general, though, I'm also a certified athletic trainer. So I was previously the director of sports medicine at a boarding school, and essentially was, in charge of the healthcare of 500 student athletes. And so that's always been my career passion. I started that, kind of as a sophomore in high school, was actually shadowing my high school athletic trainer, and did that all through college and my master's degree. So I'll always go back to that. But for right now, I'm going to be focusing on Strongman and being a professional athlete for a little while and seeing where that can take me. So thank you very much for hanging out with me and SBD USA. Make sure you hang around here to follow along with what's going on with World's Strongest Man and everything going on in the strength world.